The Secluded Springs is here for Pokemon Pocket, and I've logged nearly double-digit hours playing, getting a solid feeling for what's working and what's not with our latest card releases. Today, we're going to dive on into talking about my 10 favorite brand new decks after the first day. We kick things off today with a deck list for each of the legendary beasts, starting with Entei EX alongside Infernape. All of these legendary dogs, I think, are very likely to be format staples, drawing an additional card every single turn, while also having serviceable 2 energy attacks so you can begin applying pressure early feels quite potent. I think this core that you see in front of you can work with other Stage 2 EX Fire Pokemon, such as Charizard, as well as the Fire Cat. This particular deck list is playing a number of cards to complement the fact that Infernape is our primary hitter. Things like Rocky Helmet as well as Red help us get our 140 damage burst up to 160, allowing us to clear out a number of opposing EX Pokemon in one sweep. We also have Leaf to allow us to shuffle Entei out of the lead spot while retaining its energy, so we can Elemental switch those up to Infernape to hit earlier or be able to attack 2 turns in a row with it. Suicune's most natural Stage 2 pairing is obviously Greninja. This is one of the premier Stage 2 Pokemon in Pocket in general. It gives your Archetype an organic answer to opposing copies of Oricorio, and it supplements Suicune's solid damage inside of your front line. We're playing a copy of Mantyke in here as well, because you want some extra basics to fill up the bench for Suicune's Crystal Waltz to hit a little bit heavier. And in the games where you're going first, Mantyke allows Suicune or Greninja to attack on the second turn of the game for solid bursts of damage. I think it's probably worth exploring the Suicune shell with EX water Pokemon as well, something like a Primara or even a Blastoise if we're going to cope a little bit could perhaps be good behind Suicune leading off and getting you extra cards every single turn. Our last legendary beast in Raikou does not have a clean Stage 2 that it gets to pair with. However, Pikachu EX's Circle Circuit is a card that's always been extra card hungry. Raikou's flow of cards can allow us to play this electric mouse from Genetic Apex and have a steady flow of things, allowing us to consistently keep the bench full. We also get to leverage Zeraora's Thunderclap Flash as well as Pichu alongside Elemental Switch, making it so Raikou or Pikachu EX can start attacking on the second turn of your game, even when you're going first. Because Raikou's Voltaic Bullet chip shots the opponent's bench, we also get to play 2 copies of Cyrus that works really cleanly against things that Pikachu can't knock out as well, and lets you grab things ahead of time that your opponent would otherwise like to keep safely in their backline. Jumpluff EX is a card that I was really impressed with on my first day playing both with and against it. The Breeze by attack, giving you the option to switch it out with one of your bench Pokemon after you attack, is really powerful on an aggressive EX. You essentially get to have the upside of this big burst damage early that EX Pokemon can only have, without the downside of that early EX, which is you're not risking that knockout. Anytime you hit with the Breeze by attack, you can pivot into Zangoose to get chip shots with counter attack, or Safeguard on Oricorio, giving you an invulnerable wall against opposing EXs. Then these Pokemon only have a 1 retreat cost, so you can pivot them back to Jump Plus, hit for 70 again before pivoting back out again, allowing you to start cracking early and often without risking giving up 2 points, getting to kind of have your cake and eat it too of that aggressive EX, but also following a 1-1-2 prize mapping that makes your opponent work extra hard to be able to win any game. This Altaria deck is definitely spicy. The Dragon Arcana always hits for 40, but if there's 2 or more different kinds of energy on the Altaria, it hits for an additional 60, meaning it does 100 for 2. This is a really competitive damage line, as we've seen on Silvally in the previous metagame, and because Zangoose is the other attacker in this deck, also hitting for colorless, in addition to playing a rainbow spread of baby Pokemon in Mantyke and Magby, we also can play a variety of different energy types, up to 3 that aren't fire or water, making it hyper consistent for Altaria to Altaria to attack for 100 on that second turn of the game. This deck list is also all single knockout point Pokemon, and Altaria has 120 base HP, which in tandem with Giant Kate means your opponent has to clear through a ton of HP game to game if they want to try and beat you. Many of these decks are going to have highlights in the channel in the coming week, but the Slowking build was actually my first highlight after the expansion dropped. I went into this deck list expecting it to be something of a meme, and I honestly walked away from it super impressed. Litter allowing you to hit for a whopping 100 points of damage on your first evolution on a non-EX Pokemon is such a massive amount, and Baby Articuno complements really well, being an additional 1 knockout point Pokemon that also gives you something to charge your extra energies up into, since Litter only takes 1. Traveling Merchant not only makes sure that you have plenty of Pokemon tools to throw at your opponent with Slowking, but because she's drawing so many cards so consistently for you, it actually makes the rest of this deck really hyper consistent. We were able to assemble double Slowking and Slowking into Articuno in a lot of the games that we played, giving our opponents a very aggressive run for their money time and time again. Because we're throwing these tools at our opponents, which one we're playing largely doesn't matter, but the inflatable boat does occasionally give Articuno a free retreat cost, and Memory Light can sometimes let your Slowking attack with Slowpoke's Water Gun when 20 damage is enough to finish something off, so that way you don't have to discard it permanently and could potentially Water Gun again in the future if you run out of tools. Speaking of Memory Light, I think this tool that allows you to use previous evolutions attacks is one that's worth exploring with a variety of things that existed in Pokemon Pocket previously. One of these subsets is cards like Meltan that allow you to attach extra energy. Often when you were trying to play this Melmetal working up to this 4 energy attack, you were often caught in this squeeze where you had to decide between, okay, am I going to try to keep amassing to gain an energy advantage, or am I going to evolve so I can have this hard coat and the safety of more HP? Memory Light lets us kind of have our cake and eat it too, getting the bulk of Melmetal while still amassing from the Meltan underneath. While Memory Light obviously doesn't give Skarmory any benefits, it does still count as a tool that you can put onto it, allowing you to crack for 50 damage on occasion with it, which is certainly worthwhile. Mantyke kind of feels like what Manaphy always wished it could be. It allows you to attack with 3 energy things like Arceus on the second turn of the game when you have first energy advantage, and when you're going first, it allows you to crack with 2 energy things on your second turn, allowing you to position very aggressively regardless of which way the starting game coin flip goes. This particular build is leveraging Abomasnow and Zangoose as additional 1-point Pokemon, so you can go Mantyke into 1 point into Arceus, or so just so you can do that really aggressive opener hitting on the second turn when you're starting off. Abomasnow kind of serves a little bit of both. It attacks for 2 when Arceus is in the back line, but with Mantyke you can also attack for 3 with it if Arceus is nowhere to be found. I wanted to include what I think is the least bad variation of Poliwrath EX in today's roundup, because I knew there would be a lot of questions if I didn't feature it somewhere, but I do want to emphasize that I think this is definitely the weakest of the EXs in this expansion. It kind of feels like a nominal upside variation of Machamp, which has never exactly been a format powerhouse. In this particular deck list, you play only fighting energy, depending on Mantyke to get you water on occasion, but ultimately you are still a stage 2 rare candy deck, and the payoff that you're getting at the end of the tunnel is only dealing 144 3 energy, which I think comes up a little bit short somewhat consistently. Last but certainly not least, because the first Suicune deck I featured was kind of stock, I wanted to fit a spicy one in here at the end, featuring our Gyarados with Wild Swing, as well as Fissure and Fishing Net. I think Fissure and Fishing Net can kind of serve both halves of this deck. They can allow you to keep your bench extra full for Suicune to hit hard when you're finishing it with the end of the game, and they can replenish things for Gyarados to hit with Wild Swing again and again and again. This is a deck list that doesn't mind going second with first energy advantage when you're attaching your things organically, but Mantyke also gives you the option to have powerful openers when going first, letting you start Wild Swinging or Crystal Waltzing ahead of time. All in all, I had a ton of fun testing a variety of deck lists on my live stream on the first day, and I'll be digging into so much more, including all of the deck lists in today's roundups over the course of the next week. If you want to see the best of these and how they perform, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of the deck highlights, and make sure you like today's video if you thought any of these deck lists were sweet. As always, I appreciate everybody that made it all the way through to the end of the video. I hope your next pack is an excellent one, and don't forget to leave me a comment down below letting me know any other new deck ideas you have for our latest expansion that I should consider trying out as well.